Okay, so in this video, I'm going to be talking about how to add a key listener, which basically it's gonna do something whenever you press keys on the keyboard. So the first thing I'm gonna do for this is I'm gonna create a separate class for it. So in our text-based game, not the basics, text-based game, you do a new class. I'm just gonna name it input and then finish. So as with our display, we had to implement this runnable class. For a key listener, we have to implement key listener. So we'd actually do implements key listener. And then we have to import this in. And then there's one more import that we have to do. We have to import java.auth.event.keyEvent. Lowercase event.keyEvent. Okay. And then we have an error here because we need to put in the methods that key listener makes us override. So the first one is public void key pressed, and then this takes a key event e, and then this little error means that we overrode it or we implemented it. Another one is public void key released. So these two are pretty self-explanatory. They both require key events. This is whenever you have a key pressed down. This is whenever you release the key. Public void key typed is the last one. It also takes a key event. I think what this one does is it takes the first time you press it and that's it. So like if you're typing stuff in, then it just takes the first time you press it, as where this, it'll run every time as long as that key is pressed down. And this, as long as the key, as soon as you release the key, it does that. When you press the key down, it does that. I'm sorry about that, just ignore that. I'm not really sure what the key type does, but yeah. So we're not going to be using it. So I'm just gonna put that there, keep it out of the way as much as possible. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna create a public boolean, which is true or false statements, keys. And then in our constructor, oh wait, we have to make this an array. So we have an array of keys. So then in our public input, our constructor, we're going to say keys equals new boolean, and then I'm just going to do some ridiculously high number so that we don't end up going that high. And then that's that. And there is one more thing that I want to do. Actually, no, we don't even need to do that for this. But this is how we're going to be getting user input. And actually, we're going to be using key typed when we actually do get user input, but we're just going to ignore key typed for now. And actually, no, I'm thinking about this wrong. This would be much better for a text-based game. Let's just actually, I mean not text-based, 2D actual game. Let's just ignore that. Let's just use key typed. So first thing we want to do is every key has a key character. So every key is related to a number or a key code. So what we can do is we can do int key code equals e the key event dot get key code. So now this e is going to equal the key code of whatever key you press down. And then what we're going to do is if e dot, hold on a second, if Yeah, okay. And also, we're going to want to get the character. So character is a string is a whole set of letters and stuff, as where a character you put in single quotes, and it is just one. It's just one thing, like an A, or D, or capital D. So we're going to do char is character equals, or character key letter equals e dot get key character. And then we can do if key letter dot, obviously that's not right, if character dot is letter or digit. And then, so if our key letter is a letter or digit, and then, yeah, there's one more thing we're going to do. This, we're going to have actually a private display in here. And we're going to go back to our constructor. And actually, we're going to get the display passed in. Display dis equals display. Okay, I spelled that wrong. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna have an array of characters in our display that is the user input, and we're also gonna have a boolean in the display if our game is looking for user input, and then if it is going, we're gonna run a check here, and if the game is looking for user input, then it will add this into our array. So let's go back to our display class, and we'll create public boolean waiting for input, and we're just gonna set that to true for now. Waiting for input. Actually, I think because what we're gonna want to do is when we want to set this to false, let's actually make this a private boolean, and then what we're gonna do is we're gonna create a void to set the boolean. So public void set waiting for input, and then it requires a boolean b to be passed in, and then we're going to set waiting for input equal to b. I spelled waiting wrong, and sorry, ignore that too. I'm just going to completely get rid of that. Set waiting for input false. So what this is going to do is it's going to set waiting for input false, and then it's also going to tell the game to continue on, but we're not going to do that yet. So how that's going to work is in our input class, we're going to do an else after this, and then we're going to do, or actually we'll do an else if. Let me erase that extra bracket. If key letter dot, nope, okay, if character dot equals, no, sorry about this, let me think for a second. Let me see what key event has in it. Oh, right. No, okay. So ignore that. If key code, this is where we're going to use the key code, because if you press enter, that's how we're going to know to continue on with our user input. And enter doesn't have a character for it, so we're just going to use the key code. So if key code equals key event has a bunch of different predefined variables in it for us to use as our keys, and they're vk underscore and then the name of the key. So in this case, enter. So if our key code is equal to enter, then we're going to want to set display dot set waiting for input false. So that way, as soon as we press enter, the game is going to know that we're done entering our input, and it's going to run based on what we entered. Okay, and now what we have to do is we're going to create an array list. So before I said it was an array list in the actual tutorial, but it was actually called an array, as someone pointed out in one of the comments. Sorry about that, but yeah, that is actually an array. Just to remind you, an array is where you have the square brackets after it. So I'm actually going to use what's called an array list. It's an actual class in Java. So we're going to have a private array list, and it's going to take characters, input, user input equals new array list, and obviously I cannot do that. Hold on, I still need to import this. So it's import java.util.arraylist. Okay, so it does not like that. Change that to character. So it's basically the same thing, it's just a class file. So we can put in if character dot is letter or digit. So if our key letter, actually change this to character. Okay. So the way an array list works is it's not restricted by a length. It can have any length that it wants. It can't go negative, but it can have no length. It can have 0, and then you can add infinitely to it. So that's why we're going to use this, so that the user can enter as much as they want to. So because this is a private array list, we're going to have a variable, or a void, public void, another method to add to the array list. Add character to array. And then it's going to take character C. And then what we're going to do is we're going to do user input dot add, and then we have to add it. So we add C. Okay. So if character dot is letter or digit key letter, then we want to do display dot add character to array, and we want to add in key letter. Okay, so that's how that's going to work. And if we want them to be able to enter some other symbols too, like maybe a question mark or something, we can add more in here, like or key letter dot equals, and then in here we put a question mark. I think that would work. We'll see if it works when we actually run this. So we can just have a whole list of ors for the other characters we want them to be able to enter. And it does not like this because we have not saved this yet. Okay, there we go. So there's only one problem with this so far. We need to create an input in our display. So private input and oh right, I never did create the if the display is waiting for input. So I'll do this first. Private input, and then in our run method we want to do input equals after we set running to true. It doesn't really matter, but it's probably a good idea to do it this way. Semicolon. Actually, let's do it in our initialize method. So after that, we're going to do or let's just do it before here. Input equals new input. Since it requires a display, we're just going to pass in this display. Now there's one more thing we have to do though. So that our frame actually knows when it has keys pressed on it, we have to add a key listener to the frame. So we have to do frame dot add key listener, and then we're going to add input. And we can add input because it implements key listener, so it counts as a key listener. Now there's one more thing that we want to do, and we want to create a string that will return all of our characters. Oh wait, I keep forgetting about this. We want to create our public boolean is waiting for input, and this is going to return waiting for input. So basically this is just a way for us to access it from an outside class. If display.isWaiting for input, and it's going to return whatever this is. So if this is true, which we're going to add here, if this dot is waiting for input, then we're going to do this. And we're going to set that to true. Waiting for input equals true. We're going to save that. And save this. Okay. And then there's another thing that we're going to do is we're going to create a private string that is going to return the user input in the form of a string. So private string, actually, why not? Let's make it public. Public string get input as string. Also, we want it to keep the user spaces, so we're also going to add or character dot is space ch, or not ch, key letter. Maybe it doesn't like that. Let's see. Is space character. Sure. Yeah, that seems to work. So if this is a space character, then it'll work. And now we're gonna actually create this. So, oh, we need to put our parameters, nothing. Okay. Now what we're gonna do with this is we're going to loop through our array. So we can use the same kind of for loop as before. First, we're going to create string result, and then we're going to return result at the end since we have to return a string. And before this, what's this error? It's probably going to say it hasn't been initialized or something. Yeah, okay. So we're just going to set it equal to nothing just to avoid that error for now. Okay, and then we can loop through this our user input character array the same way we could loop through a normal array. We can do for character C, and then we do a colon, and we do user input. So if you don't remember how this kind of loop works, it says for each character, or each object, in this case characters, in this array, then that's what character C is going to be, and it's going to loop through it. So how we're going to do that is we're going to do result plus equals C. So we're just adding whatever character it is to C. And then, so that we can actually see that our input is doing something, instead of hello world this time from window, we're going to be drawing our input. So we're going to be drawing get input as string and our empty parameters. So let's see if this works. So if I start typing, it is not working, which is a bad thing. Okay, so let's try something else. Let's try this dot add key listener input. Okay, there. Sorry about that. We actually have to add the key listener to our canvas, because it's the canvas that's the main covering the screen, not the frame. So yeah, you have to do this. So our class to add the key listener to it, and so now it works. And I'm gonna say hi, how. Oh, backspace does not work. Are you? And our question mark works. So what we're actually gonna do is we want backspace to work too. So what we're gonna do for that is we're gonna do public void backspace array, or backspace input, and then we're gonna say user input dot remove, and then the index user input dot remove removes an object from the array. So in this case we're going to remove the last index on it, which we can get by user input dot size. And now we actually have to create a thing for that. So we're going to do else if key code equals key event dot vk underscore backspace. You're going to do display dot backspace input. Now if we run it, also hold on, let's add a check here. If user input dot size is greater than 0, because we don't want to try to remove what it cannot remove. So it can only remove if the size of the array is actually 1 or greater. Or yeah, because if it's 0, then we're going to get an error that it can't remove that index because it doesn't exist. So now let's run it, and I'm typing hi, my name is Bob, and then backspace is still not working. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to see if that is working. So I'm just going to print out a line working to see if that's actually the right key code. And it appears it is not. So let's see what other choices we have. We have vk underscore, and let's try backspace. Might have worked for you, but it's not working for me. So I'm actually gonna try delete, and I'm gonna run this, and that does not work either. Okay. I hope it's not counting it as a letter. That would be annoying. Let's see. Let's just test that to be sure. Or did I have a logic error maybe? No, if it's greater than 1. Okay. So we're gonna move this up here instead, and then we're gonna put the else here. And then we're gonna run that. And no, that is not the problem. Well, I'm sorry about that. I'm gonna try a couple more things to fix it, and if I can't fix it, then I'll just have to get back to you in the next tutorial on how to actually do it. Let me look through here one more time and try to find something that'll work. That is certainly annoying. Oh well, if that worked for you, then good for you. If not, then I'm sorry about that, and I'm gonna figure out why it's not working and get back to you on that. So that's gonna be the end of this one. I'm sorry that I didn't get to show you how to remove the input. I'm just gonna remove this for now. So I'm sorry that I didn't get to show you how to actually backspace it. I'm gonna figure that out before the next tutorial, as I keep saying. But that's the end of this. I hope you learned something pretty good today. If you didn't, and you're confused about all this, leave a comment and I'll try to explain it better. I think I actually did a pretty good job. I know this video is rather long, and that's probably how the rest of the videos are going to go, because I'm trying to cover one big topic at once, and then maybe once I actually get most of the details done for it, I can lower the video size. So if you don't like long videos, then you can tell me and I'll try to reduce the video size. Maybe just split these up in a couple different tutorials. But if not, then just let me know and I'll keep doing it like this. So thanks for watching. If you like this video, like it. If you want to see more, subscribe to my channel. If you have suggestions for what you want me to cover next in my beginner tutorials, leave a comment on that, and see you later.